Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the newest episode of M-Class Podcast.
It's new!
It's new.
New stuff for you and your ear hole.
Hot new content.
Oh, watch out. Jizz in your ears.
I don't remember hearing that on the radio in the 90s.
We call it cum-tent. Yeah.
Well, that was bad.
It was so good.
On M-Class Podcast, we don't just make jizz ear hole jokes. We also talk about episodes of Star Trek that are all related to one another. Like, this episode is part of the Ben Beuhler Defection collection.
Ben Beuhler.
I am one half of your hosts. I'm Jeff.
And I'm the other one, Josh.
Yeah, the other one. Everybody feels that way about Josh. He's the other one.
Oh, here comes the complex part of the episode.
Yeah, the complex part. Okay. But, you know, we pick apart Star Trek content so you can know whether it's good or bad.
It's all good.
It's all, not all of it's good.
It's all amazing.
It's all perfect. Don't even listen to this podcast. You don't need to know.
See you next week.
But this is the final episode of Ben Beuhler's Defection collection, which I'm a little sad about because I love that name so much.
It's very alliterative and great. It's a great name. Everyone should just be named that name.
Ben Beuhler?
Yeah. That's everyone's name now.
It's alliterative at the beginning and it rhymes at the end. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's cool.
But we can't ever say it again. Sorry, everybody.
Until he comes up with another one.
Yeah, you have to make it alliterative at the beginning and rhyme at the end.
It's called a Ben Beuhler stanza.
I would like to point out at the beginning of this episode that Ben Beuhler did not pick the episode we're going to be talking about, probably for good reason.
Well, what the hell?
I picked this episode and added to his collection because it was only 3 episodes long.
Yeah.
Or it may have only been 2 episodes long, I forget. Anyway.
This one's good. This is a good one.
This is Enterprise episode Demons. And it's from season 4, episode 20. And those in the know... Nice.
That's the sex number.
Yeah, that's the one. 69 is when you smoke the marijuana.
Yeah, June 9th is marijuana day.
But it's season 4, episode 20. And
Nice.
Those in the know, those who aren't me, would know that that's the second to last episode of the continuing story of Enterprise. There's one more after the next episode, but it's just a real pudgy Riker walking around in a chef's outfit.
Yeah, it's the hurried up final episode of the series because they canceled the series, but they didn't want to just end it. So they quickly pieced together like a final episode, which I think they did a pretty clever job at doing for the most part.
I mean, it's basically the best they could have done.
Right.
It's not saying much, but it's the best they could have done.
Given the circumstances. And cutting out the most important part of Star Trek, which is the Romulan War, which, who wanted to see that, am I right?
Who gives a fuck about the Romulan War? All I want is that good Chef Riker content. That's why I'm here.
Chef. The funny thing is, I think I told you before, is that you never see the chef in the entire show.
Yeah, so it could have been Riker the whole time.
It could have been him the whole time. It's great.
But again, I didn't know this, like, I didn't think about it when I added this collection. It was just on a list of episodes that I was looking through, and it said that there was a defector in it. And I was like,
there
shit,
is.
That's the collection we're doing. The defector doesn't have a lot to do with the episode, though, and it's also full of spoilers for the rest of the show.
Yeah, we could have also called this the Ben Beuhler collection of things that are happening in America right now collection.
It's also the Accidental Nazis collection, which is
exactly
super apt.
I think this episode more than any is just like, oh God.
Yeah, it hits pretty close to home.
We're living through this shit right now.
Except there's no spaceships and phasers and shit, so it's way lamer.
That we know about.
That's true. Section 31 might be working overtime in our dimension.
Oh, I have a good way to fix Section 31. I have a way to write Section 31 to make them good.
Oh, well, we're front-loading this episode with non-spoiler content, one way or another, so go ahead, tell us.
So Section 31, let me start with Daniels, right? Daniels is from the Time Federation Time police.
The temporal division.
Division, yeah. So what if instead of doing what Daniels does, which doesn't seem to work that well and also can contaminate the time stream, what if the temporal division makes Section 31 to recruit people to write history in the guise of them being a secret CIA type of agency? You know what I'm saying? What if they
Yeah, I mean, I would be perfectly fine with that because it means that there isn't a modern day corrupt bureaucracy behind the scenes of Starfleet that are murdering people left and right.
I do think that that's interesting, and I don't mind it that much, but I would love it if they were because Section 31 is they're responsible for making things happen. What if Section 31 was responsible for that, but only as a front for the temporal I can't think of the real name of this shit. The temporal division or whatever, they use that as a means to an end to not give away that they're the ones maintaining history. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I would be much more fine with that than I am with Section 31 as it exists. I understand Section 31 is an interesting story element. Mm-hmm. And I understand that a lot of people really like the idea of Section 31 entirely because it's a very interesting story element.
Right.
I guess I'm more of a Roddenberry-style Star Trek purist.
Yeah. Where
that undermines the entire message of Star Trek to me. And I would love it in any other series.
I agree with you, and I agree with you in that, in a written sense, and the way that it is, Section 31 does do that. And I think that that's okay also if the good guys are maintaining the Federation ideals. That's fine.
You run into that thing that is used against people all the time in everything, where they're well, we're heroes and we're here to help. Oh yeah? Well then why are your superiors all monsters that are trying to benefit off of our suffering?
Right.
And there's no answer for that, for the heroes.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Which is great. It's great when the heroes aren't the crew of the Enterprise. And Starfleet are villains behind the scenes. I don't want a secret dystopia. I don't want that.
I agree with that, and I don't like that. That's a default. It gets used a lot. It gets used way too much.
The idea of a utopia is laughable to most people. And that's why nobody's striving for it, because it's a laughable concept. Everything's dystopian, and when people want to, you hear it from young writers all the time. There was a thread on Reddit that somebody linked me to years ago now, where people were how would you have written, it was before Discovery came out, and it was how would you write a prequel to TOS? And all of them were talking about, well, the Federation is actually a dystopia.
That's fucking stupid. That's fucking stupid. And that's unoriginal as shit.
I can't stand that. I don't want there to be a secret dystopia behind the utopian Starfleet and the United Planets. Let one thing be a utopia. And you can do stories about the utopia almost falling. The seams that hold the utopia together, coming apart. They do that in DS9 several times. But you mend up those scenes by having the characters stand for what they believe in.
That's exactly what I was saying with Section 31. It's okay to have that if you have good guys, white hats, remedying or trying to remedy and uphold the morals of the society, right?
Yeah. Well, I've said that before, that if there was an ending to the Section 31 story, then I would feel entirely different about it. If there was we've rooted out Section 31, we finally figured out a solution. Mm-hmm. It could be hard fought and hard won, but as long as they find a solution, that saves the utopia at the end of the story, I'm fine with
Yeah.
it. But we never got that.
No, you're not going to. And then you get, like, Abrams with his Section 31, which is just, like,
Everybody knows about it.
building in the middle of London. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that's super hidden, huh? Yeah.
It's like, Section 31 is just like... I think Section 31 is in Star Trek Online, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like 100 years later and it's still there. It's been there since the founding of the Federation and no one has stopped it. No one's even slightly slowed it down.
Yeah, well, sometimes it does things that people want, and that's the problem. And that's why it's complicated, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
sometimes Section 31 does things, and the Federation's like, I'm going to allow that.
Which, like, in order to maintain the utopia, it gets degraded by those type of decisions. And that's why at some point, some characters, like the heroes on our Enterprise, maybe, would have to be like, no more. This has gone far enough. We're going to lose what we're all fighting for if we keep allowing this to happen.
This series sets up, excuse me, this series sets up, like, what Cisco does with Section 31, where he says, like, no. Like, we're not doing this. And Captain Archer is very much against Section 31. Like, he hates Section 31. So, there's some Captain Archer bonus points for you, Jeff.
I'll take them. Archer's a lot better in this episode than I've ever seen him before. Like, I like him a lot in this episode, and I understand that's entirely because he grows and changes as a character.
He's very different in these ones because he's beginning to see what needs to happen. Like, this is the beginning of him, like, turning into, like, a Federation starship captain, where he's, like... Not only that, is you see where he's going to be the president of the Federation one day, which he will become.
Yeah, he talks about in this episode, this is also non-spoiler territory to mention, he talks about in this episode how he doesn't want the limelight that the, not Chancellor, Minister.
The Minister, yeah.
The Minister's getting, but
Samuels.
Like, everybody's like, yeah, you should be doing this, like, you're way more...
Right.
Like, competent for this type of job, and he's like, well, I don't want the spotlight, but he's seeing that it needs to be done at a certain point, which is great. Character growth is a sorely overlooked writing tool in everything, for the most part.
Yes.
Like, who cares? Like, your characters shouldn't be static from beginning to end. No. Like, even the most static captain. If I had to pick the most static captain in Star Trek, it would probably be Picard.
Right.
Because he starts out really great and he ends really great. However,
but he starts out really great and then he ends even greater.
Yeah. He starts out, like, stodgy and 100% by the book, like a stick up his ass. And then, as the series progresses, he becomes more and more, like, open-hearted and kind.
Yeah, he's human. He's humanized.
And that's great. Your characters have to grow and learn. Like, fucking Kirk's goes from the beginning of his series until fucking Star Trek 6.
Yeah,
he learns that his own prejudices are holding back the entirety of forward movement in the Federation.
Right. And that's kind of what Archer... Archer's sort of like the only person... Well, not the only person, but, like, since... the Enterprise, the NX Enterprise, sees so much of the universe, much more than any other human being has seen. Archer and the crew begin to take on the ideals of what would become the Federation and start to work toward making that a reality.
Yeah, they're setting the groundwork by doing the legwork.
Right, they're doing the hard work. They're going out and shaking babies and kissing hands, right?
Shaking space baby syndrome.
Space babies! Speaking of space babies.
Oh yeah, this whole episode is about a space baby. But
Space baby!
Before we go into specifics, before we get into spoiler-heavy territory, what do you think of this episode, just as a standalone episode? Because if you've watched it already, you know it ends in a cliffhanger, and we're not covering the finale. Right. We're only covering this part, so...
What do I think of it?
What do you think?
I mean, I like this episode. I love Peter Weller. Again, like this episode now, I think has aged way better because of what's happening in America in 2018.
It was like Star Trek is always a mirror held up to society. It's just this one was held at such a slant that it's held up to 2018 society from where it's standing.
Well, that's the thing, is like it was relevant when it came out in 2005. But today, it's super fucking relevant.
It's
like
painfully relevant.
It's disturbing. It's fucking disturbing.
Like down to the big groups of homogenized people meeting in secret to come up with evil fucking plans to harm people different than them.
Terra Prime sounds an awful lot like America First. And I know that that's where they got the idea for Terra Prime, from the old America First, like from the 20s.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're talking in this episode about like, oh, well, like Terra Prime was a problem before. Oh, well, it disappeared and now it's come back even worse than before.
Right. It's like a cancer. They're hiding on the moon.
That's America First. It went away for a long time and now it's back far worse than it ever was before.
It's back because like the people who like that stuff are old and dying and they have lead in their brains.
Pretty much. There's a pushback. It's like a smaller scale. Like, their pushback is against opening up to the rest of the universe. Right. And our pushback is opening up to the rest of the world.
Right.
Like, we refuse to take part on the world stage.
Yes.
And that's impossible in this day and age.
Yeah, it's too late. Like, I mean, even if we wanted to, for whatever reason, and I know some people do, it's too late. That cat's out of the bag, man. Like, you can't go back.
I mean, our economy... people talk about, like, oh, it'll affect all these other, like, countries' economies if we, like, shut off all of our contact with them or whatever. It'll obliterate ours.
Yeah, we'll be fucking, like, living in the dirt, like, so I don't want to do
something that. Like 63% of our, like, products made, like, in our economy are made in China and Japan. Like, yeah, what the fuck are we gonna do? Like, they'll be
we don't have factories. We're not gonna make
what about
factories?
All these new jobs you'll make or whatever? But you have to have money to make the factories in order to make the new jobs.
You also have to have resources.
Yeah.
Where are we gonna get those?
It's like even if you're in favor of like America First, shut all the borders, complete autonomy of our country, there needs to be some sort of an infrastructure put into place, which we
don't have that.
We don't have even the beginnings of that.
Yeah, we don't have it anymore. It's not 1952 anymore.
And that's that's this episode as well. Like, the Terra Prime people are like, well, we just want to cut off all contact from all these alien races, but it's a little late for that. Like, the Vulcans gave you, like, all the fucking technology you have even.
Right.
Like, what are you gonna do?
There's one line, and I don't know if it's in this episode or if it's in the second part to it, but, like, Archer is talking to... what's his name? Peter. I'm just calling him Peter Weller. I don't remember his name. Paxton. And he's like, they're arguing back and forth, and Archer says, like, this is an opportunity. Like,
well, he's talking. That's in the next episode.
That's in the next one. Like, if we can live in the universe peacefully and benefit each other mutually, why the fuck would we not do that?
Well, they're afraid of being supplanted. It's like the
second class citizen. It's white fear, right?
It's white fear. It's straight up like mutants with the X-Men. Right. Like, the only reason the X-Men are feared, the mutants are feared, is because humans don't want to be replaced.
Yeah, Homo superior, right?
It's like a bunch of white people all around the world are terrified that, like, the next generation is going to have darker skin.
Right. But, like...
it's just a color, dude.
It's the same shit. It's all the same stuff. We're just all made out of the same shit. It doesn't even matter.
It's so weird to me that... And I mean, this is coming from somebody living in 2018 who's had the benefit of, like, all that's came before, all the understanding that's been built upon.
Right.
But I can't fathom looking at someone who has all the exact same parts of you in every way, shape, and form, but are darker than you, and being like, that person isn't me, so they're evil.
It's just fear, right? And that's like a simplified explanation of it.
But it is.
I don't know. I don't like being afraid. Most people don't like being afraid, so I've chosen to just not be.
Well, that's the thing
about
is, like,
certain things. Like, who cares?
everything is driven by fear these days. It's
Yeah.
like a post 9/11 thing. I think.
Right. We got PTS from it. We're post traumatic stress
Like,
from it. Right.
the people who are like afraid of having their guns taken away from them aren't like, they don't think that the government's going to overthrow them or whatever, and like,
Right.
and they're not going to have their guns to stop it. They think that they're going to get killed by someone else if they don't have a gun. I don't really
Right.
think like that. Like, most of the people I know don't think like that. If I go outside, I'll get shot by somebody.
Yeah. I always say this about like a lot of groups of people who are of the more religious variety. And I don't understand how people like who experience that type of fear, both like the fear you were talking about and religious fear. I don't know how they live on Earth. I don't know how they go do anything. I don't know how anyone
You
goes.
live your
anywhere
whole
and gets
life
anything
like
done.
that. You just don't notice, I guess.
It's crazy. I mean, it's bad. It's a bad.
And this episode is a
way.
microcosm of that. You see it in every character that's on the Terra Prime side.
Yeah. Terra Prime forever.
Terra Prime sucks.
Yeah.
And they're just
They also have a
afraid.
Death Star.
Huh?
They also have a Death Star.
They have like a planet capture machine, like it's a claw machine, a UFO machine, but it
It's like a-
captures planets.
It's like a comet claw machine, right? To terraform Mars.
Yeah, and it straight up is the Death Star laser. It's the Star
Yeah.
Killer laser.
It's still let's not go that far.
It's the Death Star laser machine that they can just shoot on. They can shoot Earth's moon from Mars. Which, don't think about that too hard. Don't think about it.
It would be really hard to do that.
Yeah, you would have to perfectly line up the trajectories of the planets' movements.
Right, like Mars couldn't be like on the other side of the sun, right? So the sun couldn't be blocking.
And also,
I
like,
don't-
that the laser is on one side of the planet, and it's like the size of like a building. So you would have to have somewhere in the rotation of that planet to where it would be pointed even slightly
Maybe
towards Earth.
Paxton timed it right. Maybe he knew.
He's
when
a
to
very
do it.
smart man. He wears suits from now in the future, so you gotta...
I don't know. I don't know how wide the ellipse. What's the right word? I don't know how like far below or above the sun's sphere that the Earth and Mars orbit. So it's perhaps maybe if it was on the other side, it's still like there's still like a clear shot.
Don't take
you
up
can-
for this pseudoscience.
Well, you can see Mars like a lot of the time of the year. Like,
yeah,
there's,
but that,
you-
like I said, the little building has to be on the correct side of the planet at that time in order to fire at Earth.
yeah. So like at one like what's the rotational period of Mars? Like 16 hours.
I don't know. Paxton knew.
Rotational time of
No
Mars.
one cares, Josh. There's no science in this podcast.
Well, the orbit is 687 Earth days.
Can you explain it in a way that would be related to a
It's
balloon
20 it's-
being filled up with too much air?
It's like you fill a balloon up with air, and then you fill a red balloon up with a little less air, and that's Mars. There you go.
Fuck, he did it.
24 hours, 39 minutes. That's amazingly similar to us.
It'd be fairly easy to figure out how to have the building on the correct side of the planet at the correct time. However, it would also be super easy to storm that planet and destroy that building by just going during the time the building's on the other side of the planet and they can't fire on you.
Well, I like the way that you're thinking, Jeff.
I'm a strategist. I'm strategerying all over this fucking shit. Starfleet security, bitch.
They mentioned Utopia Colony in this. I like that.
Oh
was
yeah,
cool.
like it becomes Utopia Planitia eventually.
Yeah, I guess that's where. Yeah,
That's where they build the ships at.
that's where the Enterprise D is from.
I feel like I didn't talk about how I like the episode.
Yeah, go.
Completely
well, go.
fucking forgot about me.
Well, fucking go.
Like I said
Go!
before, oh my god. Like I said before, I really like Archer in this episode.
Yeah.
I'm much more interested in seeing how he grows throughout the journey in order to get to this point now
Yes.
that I know he eventually becomes fairly cool.
Yes.
Because I've never finished Enterprise. This is the latest
pretty
episode
awesome.
I've ever watched.
I have a sneaking suspicion, Jeff, that you're going to love him because I kind of love him.
I'm sure I will. We're fairly similar. I imagine I'll end up having the same opinion as you.
He starts out as kind of a racist dickwad, but then he figures it out real quick.
This is one of my favorite things any M-Class fan has ever made. It was very early in M-Class history where somebody photoshopped Archer with a hat on that said "Make space great again," and I was like, "That's him."
Really funny.
That's him.
Much like the inverse of Kirk. It's like the inverse of Kirk's like stereotype, right? Where Kirk is like a ladies' man.
It's
Archer's
true.
sort of like a cowboy diplomacy, but like
Archer from like an outside perspective through the fandom lens is like a space racist.
yeah, he's kind of like a grandpa guy.
But
Like-
it's probably not actually like that in the show as it gets going.
No, he's not. He's really the only like Star Trekky guy for a little while.
Yeah, even
Like,
at the beginning,
everyone-
he's very much in love with the idea of space travel, and everybody else is like, I want to go home.
Yeah, well, you get a Sato. She's like always whining about some shit.
And
Yeah.
everybody's like, I don't want to be on this ship with this green-blooded hobgoblin.
This green-blooded hobgoblin, who's the hottest Vulcan I've ever seen in my goddamn life.
She's a space alien, Josh. We're not attracted to space aliens.
Oh, right. I forgot.
She has
We're
slightly pointy ears and a different haircut. I can't be
Her haircut-
attracted.
isn't typical of women from Earth, and also she's got pointy ears, but everything else seems to jive.
Disgusting. Pointy ears? I can't handle it. Like Josh mentioned, Peter Weller is in this episode. Peter Weller, who you might know as RoboCop, my favorite movie, and
Or Admiral, what's his name?
Admiral from a bad movie.
Admiral from the Badmiral.
He's also Buckaroo Banzai, another
Yes.
movie I fucking love. So and of course he plays the previous sheriff in Longmire, who I fucking love.
Lucian.
Yeah,
Lucian.
Connolly. Lucian
Connolly.
Connolly.
Yeah, he's great.
He's fucking amazing in everything I've ever seen him in, and he's really good in this as well.
Yeah, he plays a super evil villain in this, and he does it by stealing the show, I would say.
Oh yeah, it's really easy during his first scene to be like, wow, this guy's probably not that great of an actor. Because he's just kind of like saying words and staring off into the distance.
Yeah.
But every scene after that, he's fucking golden in. And he steals the show for sure.
He's larger than the screen that this was shown on. That's for sure.
Love that
This
guy.
guy's a movie actor, and this is a TV show, so you kind of get that too.
Yeah,
you know?
especially the guy he's interacting with in his first few
he's not
scenes,
great.
who's terrible.
Yeah, he's not great.
So I think that's as far as we're going to get into this episode without talking about spoilers. So we're going to take a
Go watch
break.
it now. Yeah.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back after these messages, and it's going to be pure spoiler time from then on.
Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Head for Taco Bell at warp speed and start collecting Star Trek 3 glasses. Beam home to Spock. Klingon treachery. The secret of Valtrapan. And fate of the Enterprise. Star Trek 3 glasses. Only at Taco Bell. It's just made for you. Hurry and buy this week's glass. Spock lives for just 69 cents with the purchase of a large or medium soft drink at regular price.
You guys ready for the spoilers?
This whole episode is every spoiler imaginable. So
Yeah, the problem
Go
is,
watch it now. Go watch it. If you haven't watched it, go watch it now. Pause it. Come back.
The problem with our setup is it is absolutely perfect for TOS, TAS, TNG, and even Voyager in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. But it is terrible for most of DS9 and most of Enterprise.
Because we have to go in order with those. right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe one day we'll just say fuck it and buckle down and just do a whole series, but I don't foresee it.
Oh my god.
I don't foresee that happening.
That would take 100 years.
Yes, it would. That's why we didn't do it to begin with.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, everybody's just gonna have to fucking deal with it because we're not changing.
Yeah, you should have watched it anyway. We should have watched the entire show by now anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, the beginning of this episode, we're going into our moment by moment commentary. Everybody.
Yes. Here we
Which
go.
some people find annoying and some people love. The people who love it are correct.
I agree with that.
But
So,
the beginning of the episode starts in like some sort of a lab. I guess it's supposed to be an infirmary, but it looks like a lab.
yeah.
And Paxton, played by Peter Weller, and some doctor who can't act are talking about a baby.
Dr. Wormtongue. Well, you don't know it's a baby at first.
No, they're just talking about something.
The patient. They're like saying the patient.
And then they talk about that the patient represents something truly evil.
Yeah.
And they leave, and the camera pans over, and it's a little baby in Vulcan ear makeup.
Vulcan ear computers.
Computer makeup?
Those are they like added those digitally. They're digital ears.
They didn't look that bad.
They are digital ears.
I mean, they didn't look that bad considering that the regular ears are also just like putty on somebody's ear.
Yeah,
so
they're just fake ears.
it's easy to make something look almost like something that's real if the real thing also looks fake. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a secret for you CG creators out there.
There you go. Us being professional CG people.
That's right. I own Photoshop. That's where you make CG, right?
Yes.
The episode date is January 19th, 2155.
Ah, cool.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say that this
No
episode
star dates.
This episode was directed by LeVar Burton.
Yes.
And
I didn't know that it was until I looked at it just now.
I didn't either, and I was kind of shocked because there's one specific moment in this episode which is like, I feel like it breaks one of the cardinal rules of TV, maybe,
Okay.
where they're like, spoiler alert, I guess, they're like, yeah, the baby is yours, Trip, and it's also T'Pol's, it's a Vulcan-human hybrid, and it's yours, and there's like 1 second of them like looking shocked, and then it cuts to the next scene. That's it. That's all you get. 1 second.
Yeah, that might have been just like for time or something.
Probably,
I don't know.
but it seems like it breaks one of the basic rules of television. Like, you have to let something land before you move to the next scene.
Right.
Especially
right.
something that serious, that dramatic.
Yeah, it's a big revelation, right?
Yeah, that, like, made my head spin.
What they should have done probably is saved that for the end of this episode.
Yeah, that probably would have made more sense, but I guess Trip and T'Pol wouldn't have been as invested at that point.
Well, they should have been sent to get her, which they are anyway to do, right? They're sent to infiltrate Terra Prime, which they could have just been sent to do, just randomly.
It would have been better if Phlox didn't know who the parents were. But he
Yes.
did know that it was a Vulcan-human hybrid, and both
Right.
of them, like, without discussing it with each other, Trip and T'Pol both feel like they have something to do with it.
Yeah, because T'Pol feels that way because Vulcans are psychic, right?
Yeah.
They know this stuff.
And Trip just has, like, human intuition, that he's somewhat involved with this somehow.
His southern charm trips off.
Yeah, you can use Southern Charm just like psychic powers. You Northerners probably don't know that, but...
Yeah, up here we don't get that above the Mason-Dixon line.
I think I'm above the Mason-Dixon line.
You probably are.
I'm not sure.
No, you're not.
No,
Are you
I'm
in that?
not.
You're not in that little thingy that hangs off of.
No, I'm not in the panhandle, no.
No, you're not. Then you're not.
I'm like right in the middle of the state on the far left.
Yeah,
so.
you're below it.
Well, everybody here acts like it, so at least it's true.
Whoops.
But back on Earth, the Enterprise has like dry docked, and there's like all the alien delegates that are thinking about forming the new coalition of planets.
Yes.
And they're
like
listening to
Pre-Federation.
Samuels.
Yes.
What's his first name?
Sammy Samuel. Nathan Samuels.
Sammy Samuels. And he gives some like impassioned speech about how like if we don't hang together, we'll hang separately.
Yeah.
And which is a Benjamin Franklin quote.
Yes.
But he says it like with more words.
And probably not as good as Benjamin
Probably
Franklin.
not. He's kind of a seedy piece of shit anyway, but...
Yeah, so you kind of get, like, a bad guy vibe from him, and they kind of go into that a little bit. He himself is not in any other episode prior to this.
No.
So
he's only in maybe one episode beyond this.
Yeah, he's clearly, like, somebody who they wanted to have an arc, I believe. Now, whether that arc was going to be him being a good guy or him being not a good guy, I don't know. But you kind of get like
it's pointing at him being kind of a bad guy.
Yeah, even though in this episode he isn't like really at all. He's not a bad guy in this episode.
Not really. He's just kind of a pompous windbag.
Well, he's a politician, right?
Yeah, and that's the point, really.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that we were talking about earlier, where Archer's gonna have to learn what needs to be done, because otherwise it's gonna be like politicians, pompous windbags.
Yeah, there needs to be actual like boots on the ground type shit happening.
Yeah, like
right?
Somebody who actually cares about this needs to be in charge.
Yes.
And Trip is pissed off because Samuels doesn't mention the Enterprise. We did the work. Blah.
They already got like a massive parade when they saved the from Earth from the Zindi. We need 2 massive parades.
I need at least 3 parades before I can get it up.
I was hoping Snoopy was gonna be there, and I don't know, Pikachu.
They didn't even bring out the Detective Pikachu blimp. What a shitty...
They've been bringing out the Detective Pikachu blimp for 150 years.
We don't even know what it was from anymore.
It's lost to time.
But like even everybody's kind of like, oh, he didn't talk about us. Blah.
Yeah, they're a little glory seeking.
Yeah.
And Archer's like, shut up. He's like, I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah, he nips it in the butt real quick. He's like, I don't want to fucking hear it. Clap louder.
Yeah,
Fuck
clap
off.
louder. Yeah.
We learned a little bit more about how Ensign Hoshi Sato has made improvements to the Universal Translator, and that's why everybody can talk to each other.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
And they're like little iPods on their chest.
Yeah. They are basically recolored iPods.
I think they like are iPods.
Yeah. Mayweather gets like this girl comes up to him and she knows him, and I really thought her name was Gannon because I couldn't hear what he was saying, so I was like, this chick's name is Gannon? That's awesome.
I think the first time I watched it, I heard Gannon also, and I was like, hell yeah, this girl's family loved Zelda.
Shit rules.
Gannon!
Her name is Gannett, which isn't a name, but...
I call her not Lindsay Lohan because I think they wanted it to be Lindsay Lohan. This episode was shot in 2005, so that was like the prime year for Lindsay Lohan. So.
I don't know how you could have fucking jumped to that conclusion.
Dude, she looks exactly like Lindsay Lohan.
I don't think she looks anything like Lindsay Lohan.
Put up a picture of Lindsay Lohan and Ganon.
Ganon from Legend of Zelda.
And tell me they're not the same.
Lindsay Lohan.
He's doing it.
2005.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at a photo. We're doing it. Oh, they look nothing alike. You're a literal crazy person.
Where? Oh my god.
Now that I'm just looking at like the features on the face and not the shape of the face or the hair, I could see
the hair's the same color. I mean, well, I don't think Gannett is a real redhead. I don't think
Lindsay Lohan's a real redhead either.
I think so. I've seen those pictures where she's not wearing any underwears.
You can change that too, but all right.
Who's going to all that effort, man? Huh.
I don't know. Lindsay Lohan. But apparently Gannett and Mayweather like used to be together, and I felt like I had missed something, because I haven't watched like the past 2 seasons or whatever. But apparently she literally never appears before this.
That's the first time you ever see her. So
it's really like that's not how you introduce a character that you've never met before.
Well, Mayweather is kind of weird. Like they kind of don't really know what to do with him so much. And they kind of, because he was a cargo pilot's son, so he never spent any time on Earth growing up. He grew up in space.
He's a spacer.
He's a space, what do they call them? Space boomers or whatever?
Yeah, I think they just call them boomers, which is unfortunate.
Which is super unfortunate, but at least maybe they changed that name to something good.
Space Boomer is his name.
Yeah. So you kind of get a bunch of characters like that are related to him that just show up like that. Because he was everywhere, right? Like, he went places. Like,
it's true. He's so
things.
Bland, though. He's such a bland dude. He's less bland than Harry Kim.
He's at least competent. Like, he's very good at what he does.
Yeah,
and
he's a great pilot.
He's what makes him bland is he's nice all the time.
I don't know. He's really
nice.
Angry in this episode.
Well, he's mad at Lindsay Lohan.
Gannon is real fucking, like, flighty, apparently. Like, she doesn't want to stay tied down to anybody.
Yeah.
Through complete inference, I guess that they broke up because she didn't want to stay tied down. They don't really talk about it that
say
much.
it, which is sort of bad. Yeah, that's not a great.
But every scene that they're in together, I didn't pay attention to until it turns out she's a spy at the end. Spoiler.
Should we tell them who?
You'll find out in the next hour of this podcast. Just hang on.
Yeah.
But like an old lady comes in and she grabs on to Paul and she's like, "They're gonna kill her! Don't let them kill her!"
Yeah, she's wearing like a crazy lady coat from 1978.
She gives her like a little vial that has DNA in it, and it's big enough that you can see it with the regular camera. It's just a big spool of DNA.
It's just macro DNA. We enlarged it.
She fell over, and it turns out that somebody shot her with a phase pistol right in the tummy.
In the stomach. Oh, God.
Blew her tummy open.
Ugh.
Phase pistols are not as cool as phasers. They don't just turn you red and make you disappear.
Well, they're like the same thing. They just had to call them something different because I guess they don't like canonically have phasers yet or some shit like that.
Phase pistol is like phaser 0.1.
Right, like an early stage. So when they first get the phase pistols, they're the first people to use them in Starfleet. Like nobody else has them in the beginning of the show.
Yeah. This just reminded me because I just went to the article for phase pistol because I was going to see if they call it like phaser 1.0 or whatever.
Right.
But they mentioned that Mako officers use a different model.
Yeah.
Why did Enterprise introduce something that is in no other Star Trek series from then on?
The Makos?
Yeah. It's ground troops for space.
They're like they're SEAL team. I'll tell you why they did that, Jeff, because 9/11 happened. That's why.
Yeah, that's true. Everything that happens in this show is because 9/11 happened.
Pretty much.
It's ground troops for space.
Yeah, they're like Marines, I guess.
Yeah, they're not even affiliated with Starfleet, which I don't like.
No, they're
whatever.
not. But later on, they talk about like Makos. Like I forget. It might be in one of the books or something. I was reading about.
They got hats.
They get like absorbed into Starfleet.
They wear baseball caps. That's pretty neat.
I like when in this show when they wear like clothes that we would wear.
Yeah, like Paxton is just wearing a regular suit from 2004.
Suit. Yeah, like you don't ever see that in Star Trek. You never see a guy just have a suit.
No, because it's 100 fucking years later. Like they shouldn't be wearing anything like that. It's 200 years from now, actually.
I don't know. People wore suits 100 years ago that looked pretty similar to our suits.
I don't know. They look pretty fucking different than suits these days.
They're not that far away.
It's like little changes. Like, you know how in Batman Beyond, nobody wears ties anymore? They have those suits that, like, go and make, like, a square on your chest.
Like a flap, yeah.
Yeah. That's, like, a reasonable change for 100 years later.
Right. That's also the Demolition Man look.
Yeah, it is actually pretty Demolition Man.
That, like, almost like... Nazi-ish, like Hugo Boss.
Well,
outfit.
yeah. In Batman Beyond, it's not like that. They're just very sleek suits or whatever.
Yeah,
Anyway, they go to the doctor's office. They go to Dr. Phlox's place, and they're like, test out this big DNA spinner, and it's actually like hair in a thing, but whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, do you know who it belongs to? And he's like, I've got a pretty good idea. And then he tells them exactly who it belongs to.
Yeah.
He's like, I've got a pretty good idea. It's a Vulcan-human hybrid baby, and it's Tucker and T'Pol's kid.
Yes.
And then it cuts immediately to T'Pol meditating in her quarters.
Yeah, it's a jarring cut.
And Tucker comes in, and he's like, we gotta talk about this.
Well, yeah, he's like, did you have a baby?
And, like, the whole, like, crux of his story in this episode is he doesn't quite believe her. That she didn't have a baby that he didn't know about on the ship that they shared together for the past...
There are times... So this is when watching the show, there's some context needed. There are times when she is away for a little bit. Not in the show, but, like, there are, like, months where she... is not on the Enterprise because the Enterprise is like getting refit and stuff.
Okay, well,
and they talk about like her going and doing.
Was it
things.
9 months?
I don't know how long Vulcans gestate babies for.
9 months.
It could be.
They're very similar to humans.
Well, they also say like, did she have a fertilized ovum and have it removed? Like,
That's true.
He thinks that might have happened,
but he doesn't quite trust her. She says that she's never been pregnant, but he doesn't quite trust her, especially because she knows where the baby is, and she knows it's theirs.
Yeah, she gets a little whacked out on the Trellium D, and it makes her a little nuts, and she starts doing some crazy shit, so...
She's still on Trellium D at this point?
No, but you can see the effects of it. Like
she's showing a lot more emotions.
Yeah. She's, like, really, like, tweaked out from it. Like, it damages her brain. Like, she gets brain damage from it. And she can't maintain her emotions because of it. Like she's not like less Vulcan now.
That's like I like and dislike that at the same exact time because that's like the standard Star Trek way to make Vulcans interesting. Right. Actually, they're not completely Vulcan. They can't stop their emotions.
Well, they also talk about her spending too much time with humans because she's the first Vulcan that has ever spent this amount of time with them, and she talks to Dr. Phlox in an episode, and she's like, these people are like, they're like changing me. She's like, I can't, she's like, I'm feeling what they're feeling, and I can't handle it. And like, that's part of the reason why she does the Trellium, too, is like, it helps her deal with the emotions, except it rots her brain out also.
I mean, that's still relevant today. I mean,
it's heroin. I mean, it's what, right?
It's heroin, now it's meth, pills, it's whatever.
Whatever it is, yeah.
But like T'Pol keeps telling him, I was never pregnant, and he's like, I believe you, all right, I believe you, but he obviously doesn't.
No, he doesn't. They have a rocky history together.
But meanwhile, Archer and Magistrate Minister Samuels,
Nathan Sammy Samuels,
Earth Minister, meets with Archer on the ship, and Archer's like, we need to get this information out there to find out anything people might know. And he's like, I don't want people knowing about there being no Vulcan half-breeds on my planet.
Yes. And Archer's like, why? And then Samuels is like, you've been away for a while.
Yeah, he's like, Terra Prime is back in like full force, and they're 100% gonna lose their shit if they find out that humans and Vulcans can breed together.
There's an episode prior to this when they go back to Earth after the Xindi attack, and you see the beginnings of the xenophobia striking Earth. Like, they get into a bar fight, like Phlox gets into a bar fight with Mayweather and British man, what's his name? Malcolm. And he like turns into a frog face thing. Like his face
I've seen that image of his face all blown up.
Yeah. And so like people on Earth are not handling, much like we did not handle 9/11 very well. They're not handling this very well.
It's like aliens are a really obvious metaphor for like Middle Eastern people.
Or
right after 9/11.
Right, or anything different that isn't...
Well, yeah, that's like the standard metaphor, but it's really obvious, like, this show's 2004, 2005.
Right.
Like, it's obvious what this whole thing is a metaphor for. Terra Prime and everything.
Yeah.
Xindi attack.
Yep.
Straight up, they're like, did the Xindis apologize? Did our
Yeah.
government make them apologize?
Oh, it's so depressing because it's like that's exactly what people say. Like it's
Yeah.
so fucking depressing. Did they apologize? Like what the fuck was that? Like no, like what?
Jesus. But like Samuels won't give Archer any access to the investigation. He's like, just let my investigators do what they're gonna do. It's their job.
Right.
AKA, it's on a need-to-know basis, and you don't need to know.
Yeah, go be a Starfleet guy. Don't worry about it, right?
Yeah, but Archer calls up Malcolm, and he's like, I need you to meet with that guy. I know we said we'd never meet with him again, but we gotta.
Yeah. So he's from a earlier episode also.
I
where
imagined.
he like Bashir gets recruited to be in Section 31.
Because all British accent people gotta be in Section 31.
That's why everyone in movies is evil is British, because they all get recruited because of the accent. Everyone in the Empire is in the Empire because they can speak with a British accent.
That's it. That's why they left Obi-Wan Kenobi alive.
Yeah.
They're like, we'll get him one of these days.
He'll come back.
But like Malcolm Reed goes to San Francisco, and it's like a Beauty and the Beast episode background from the 90s.
Like the 80s.
Like the 80s Beauty and the
Linda
Beast.
Hamilton. And
With Linda Hamilton and Ron Perlman. As the Beast. It's like that type of background with like real soft focus lens and like smoke everywhere. I was like, what
Noir
show
as
is
fuck.
this?
And then Baker Street plays. And you're like, oh my god, it's the 80s.
But a Section 31 agent shows up. And he's like, you told me never to contact you. And Reed's like, well, I contacted you, but with a British accent.
Yeah. He's obnoxious, though, Reed.
He kind of is.
He's not my favorite, but he's great in certain, like,
I think he's all right.
circumstances.
I think that might just be, like, my predilection to, like, security chiefs.
Yeah, there's points of the show where you're like, oh, this guy rules.
But, like, apparently the guy's like, if you talk to me, then you work for Section 31 again. And Reed just keeps talking to him.
Yeah.
So I guess he does. No take backsies.
That's the way it works with Section 31, right? They're like a mob. Like, you're in the mob now. Oh, okay.
The old lady that got shot in the guts earlier was apparently a member of Terra Prime. And the child is half human and half Vulcan, and they've got control.
Right.
And there's a mystery regarding how it was made, because it wasn't just bumping uglies this time.
No, they didn't. They bump uglies in the show, but they don't make a baby from it.
You can do that, especially in the future.
It's probably super. I mean, in Star Trek, like DS9 TNG, it's like an injection, which in Star Trek an injection is like go to the doctor's office for 1 second.
Yeah, walk in and be like, need my no baby shot.
Yep. Done. See you later.
Gonna go have no babies now.
All right, I can have crazy, unprotected, diseaseless sex. This is gonna be great.
Yeah, and people were like, man, there's Riker, he's a whore. Like, you wouldn't be having all the sex you can have in the future.
Saying. That's what I'm saying. If there was I think I was talking to you about, like, there must have been, like, a sexual revolution at some point. Another one. Where people were just like, let's just fuck. Because who cares?
Yeah, you can't get diseases, and you can't get pregnant. There are no unwanted side effects besides emotional ones. Let's fuck.
Yeah. There's an instance in the first, I think, episode of this show where they go to a planet and the doctor's like, do not have sex with anything. Because like it's like they don't have that yet. You know what I mean? They're not safe from that stuff yet.
Especially space diseases. You got no fucking clue about that.
Yeah, there's no way they would know, right?
So we flash over to the moon. The Earth's moon. The moon.
Luna. Let's call it its name.
D.A. Moon. The moon.
The moon.
And Paxton and the guy who can't act are talking about the old lady who turned traitor. And the guy who can't act is like, well, she didn't know enough to cause us any problems.
Right.
And Paxton's like, well, what about you?
Yeah, well, he's like, she spent a lot of time with the subject, so, that's probably where she developed, feelings for it. and then Paxton's like, well, so have you.
Yeah, he's like,
And
you
it's
spent a lot of time with that subject. How do you feel? And he's like, well, I don't think it's any different than anybody else I've ever treated.
Which is the wrong answer.
Yeah, Paxton's like, that thing's an abomination, and when the
Yes.
time comes, you're gonna kill it. And the guy's like, okay.
One of the things I like about the Paxton as a character, not as like a actual thing, I'm just trying to clarify, as a character,
What do you love about the white supremacist, John?
I knew it. Is that he's so evil. He tests everyone around him constantly. He does it to the scientist, and he does it again later to his like bodyguard guy.
Yeah,
where
Daniel.
he's like, he's like semantics arguing with the guy, and the guy passes. He says, "No, Colonel Green was right, and this is the right thing to do, and every alien needs to be like killed or what, And like it's all a test, and the scientist guy fails because he compares the Vulcan baby to everybody else, which is not the right answer in Paxton's eyes.
No, that is not the right answer at all.
So guess what's gonna happen to Mr. Scientist?
Daniel, his Paxton's bodyguard, is played by Peter Mensah, who you might know as Science Fiction Man because he's in all of them. He's in every shitty science fiction thing that's ever happened.
I don't what. I don't.
He's
I
in
recognize
Jason
him.
X. He's in Spartacus, War of the Damned. He's in Avatar. He's in 300.
What is he in Avatar?
He's one of the avatars, I think. I think he might be a human in that.
In 300 is god.
He's in this terrible fucking show called Midnight Texas.
I don't know what that is.
He's in The Departure. He's in the Scorpion King Book of Souls. He was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Sleepy Hollow, the TV show, Burn Notice, Transformers Prime.
He's got a hell of a face, man. This guy's face is great.
True Blood. He gets picked because he can look super threatening when he wants to.
Yeah.
But he also can look like really friendly when he wants to, but he can also look really mischievous when he wants to. Like he's got like a chameleon face is what it is.
Yeah. He looks very different. Like I recognize his IMDb picture, but he looks different in the show.
I
didn't recognize him.
Mischievous in the show.
Mischievous.
He's gonna cause some problems for our Enterprise friends. But Paxton tells Daniel after Bad Actor Scientist leaves, he's like, put together a team and meet me in the third junction in an hour, and that'll come up later.
Yeah, put together a team.
Put together a team to murder
a science man.
There's
a metaphor there for you.
There is. I think we should take another break, actually.
Yeah, let's take another break.
We'll be right back after these messages from hopefully a sponsor at this point. Fuck.
UPN Friday. With only 3 new episodes left, terror spreads over the Earth.
We must reject the impure and cast it out!
I am returning Earth to human beings.
And the greatest threat of all,
a Vulcan-human hybrid, the offspring of Commander Tucker and Commander DePaul,
is a little child.
You're going to kill her.
RoboCop's Peter Weller guest stars.
She looks so innocent.
Star Trek Enterprise.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome back.
Oh, your dreams were your ticket out.
Welcome back.
So, Archer goes to visit Minister Samuels.
Yeah.
And there's a weird space alien arguing with him about something.
He's from Corridon.
He's like the Tellarites are all fucking dwarves. You need to notice. Well, they're fucking dwarves.
They're being assholes, and they're dwarves, and they want to not have us trade with people.
Yeah, this fucking Tellarite slander.
Yeah.
They should go back to swinging axes.
And riding in barrels.
But he's like, riding in barrels, fuck you. He's like, Corridon has traded with the Orions for centuries. We'll never agree to sanctions.
Yeah. So
Business, politics.
Corridon becomes like a super important Federation point in the future. That's where they build a lot of ships and stuff.
Yeah.
There's dilithium there. They got a lot of dilithium.
But Archer walks up and Samuels is like, Ambassador, this is Captain Archer. And the ambassador's like, I gotta go.
Why?
And he fucks off. Archer's like, yeah, I want you to help me get the case file for this case.
Yeah.
And Samuels is like, well, why are you asking me? And he's like, because the chief investigator already turned me down.
Yeah.
So you're not my first choice. It's a good start.
Yeah.
Samuels is like, oh, I can't help you. And he's like, well, I know a secret about you.
Yeah, this is great.
He's like, what? And in the back of his head, he's like, does he know about the weird fucking porn I'm into? Does he know I'm really into Tellarite women?
Which, like, that wouldn't be weird at all. That's hot.
No, that'd be perfectly fine.
It's so hot.
I love me a pig lady. Big into it.
Big into pig ladies now.
But he's like, you were part of Terra Prime, weren't you, Samuels? And Samuels gets this look on his face that's like 100% comedy. Like, where he's like, but no. And he like takes him aside and he's like, look.
Yeah.
A Denobulan killed my dad in a flight accident. Like, his Denobulan was the pilot, and I learned the error of my ways, so I'll help you get your case file if you don't tell anybody about this.
Right.
Although he doesn't
blackmails
say
him.
He doesn't say that. He says, I
he
says,
says, I underestimated you, which and then he says, which I assume lots of people have.
And they did in the show you watched.
Yep.
But Gannon goes to visit Mayweather in his quarters, and she's like, I'm gonna do a story on you and the Enterprise.
Yeah, so she's like a reporter, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's, which, like, and she's got one of the Star Trek reporter cameras from the beginning of Generations.
Yeah, except it doesn't shine a light on everybody.
Yeah, like those ones are like super bright, like obnoxious light.
Yeah, it shoots like a spotlight that's only big enough for someone's nose.
It's just like a ring light.
Yeah.
They didn't have ring lights yet.
But she comes in and she's like, I'm mysteriously doing a thing on your Enterprise crew now.
Yeah, I'm here to do a story about the people who make it run.
And Mayweather's like, I don't like you, Gannon. You laugh when I get a game over. And she's like, no, remember when we fucked? And he's like, oh yeah, I'll give you a tour of the ship.
That's pretty much exactly what happened.
And then we flash over to sickbay, and Tucker's like, hey, Dr. Phlox, do you think Paul's a big fucking gross liar?
Yeah. And Phlox is like, slow your roll, man. I wouldn't go saying that shit to that lady because she's super hot and you might want to have sex with her again someday.
Phlox is like, dude, why didn't you have sex with my wife? Also, that's dumb.
Phlox is like, look, I have 3 wives and you could have fucked one, and I don't know what the hell you're doing here.
Yeah,
so quit it.
What is your deal, dude? I don't understand you at all.
Do you like having sex at all? Are you into pig ladies now or what?
That'd be perfectly fine, but still.
Yeah, but like at least like let me know.
And Phlox is like, no, you're a big fucking Dumbo. You need to stop worrying about that.
Pretty much calls him an idiot in not so many words. He's like, yeah, knock it off, dude.
But then we jump over to the hero of the story, Paxton, who's...
Oh my god.
I'm kidding. We flash over to Paxton, the undisputable fucking villain of the story, and he's watching a video of even older racist.
Yeah. An even older racist for him, but one that's yet to come for us.
Yeah, I'm real excited for the Colonel Philip Green portion.
The Colonel Green, the Colonel Green administration is going to be great. I think we're living in it right now, actually.
Maybe. But it's like right after the end of World War III, and Green's like, we need to fucking kill all these aliens.
Well, like, his thing was, like, kill the mutants from the war, right?
Murder all the mutants so that all their descendants won't suffer, is what he's saying.
Right.
But it's really because he hates mutants.
It's eugenics. Yeah. It's eugenics.
But, Daniel enters, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, Paxton? What are you watching?"
And then he gets a super boner immediately when he sees Colonel Green.
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, Colonel Green! Oh, he's a great
fuck
man."
Colonel Green, I love that guy.
Yeah,
I'm totally at half-mast right now just thinking about him.
I'm chubbed out as hell.
But like you said, Paxton like tests him. He's like, "What do you think of Green's policies? Do you think he should have been remembered as a hero?" And Daniel's like, "Yeah, I fucking love eugenics, bro. Don't test me."
Yeah, well, Paxton's like, "Well, you know, Colonel Green was like, he was. A lot of people thought he was wrong." And Daniel is like, "Well, he wasn't.
He wasn't wrong. He was great.
He knew what he was doing." Yeah,
I love that guy.
Yeah,
don't kill me.
And with Peter Weller doing it, oh my god, don't kill me. Yeah, pretty much, right? With Peter Weller doing it, it's like so good.
He's a great fucking actor.
It's so good.
But like he gives Daniel like a floppy disk.
Yeah.
That has the Vulcan humans information on it, the little baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the baby.
Daniel leaves, and Paxton pulls out like a hypodermic, like an injection thing, and injects himself with red liquid.
Yeah, it's
what's
like
that
Kool-Aid.
about?
I mean, what's that about?
Why did he do that?
So there's a lot of...
Write into mclassemail@gmail.com to tell me why the fuck they do that.
Why he do that? Obviously, the parallels to Hitler are very clear, like historically, right?
Yeah.
But also, Hitler had Parkinson's, and
like he has something wrong with him that he has to administer a hypodermic for to stop.
Yeah, he's got to put Kool-Aid inside of him.
Why he do that?
Why you put Kool-Aid in you?
But Gannon and Mayweather go to shuttle bay, and then they fuck in a shuttle pod.
Did they fuck in a shuttle pod?
They fuck in a shuttle pod.
How the hell are you gonna fuck in a shuttle pod? I guess nobody's going in those things.
Nobody's.
Right?
There's only like 40 people in the ship. I think you could figure out how to lock a shuttle pod. And not get
Jeff,
bothered.
there's 83 people on the NX-01.
Am I talking to Gannon herself right now? You fucking traitor.
Remember when we fucked?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Let's go to a shuttle pod. They have a cool conversation about like the shuttle pods like not being used as much, and Mayweather being a pilot, like he really loves flying, and he's like, I feel like we're betraying these guys every time we get more used to the transporter. And it's like a really cool, like, we're headed into like Star Trek proper now, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not using the shuttle pod anymore for that stuff.
No.
But you get to see later a really cool way they do use the shuttle pods.
In the next episode?
Yeah, that we're not going to talk about.
Yeah, there's only 2 episodes after this one, so it's either this one or the one with Fat Riker. Those are the choices.
It's not Fat Riker. I don't like calling him Fat Riker. Can we call him, like, Chubsy Riker?
I'll call him Chef Riker. How about
Chef
that?
Riker.
He's not that fat. He really isn't.
He's just older.
He's just older, is all. Yeah. He's trimmer now than he was then, though. He's like a lot trimmer now.
Oh, man. He must have worked out or he's working out.
He figured out a good diet or something. He didn't have to eat off of yeah. He didn't have to eat off of a fucking tray of finger foods and donuts every day at work. So.
Oh my god, Crafty's great though, and especially on those shows, man, they got a lot of good stuff there.
I don't doubt it. I've never been in any type of production that had a fucking craft table, so
it's usually pretty, like, the real ones are great. Like, they ask you, like, they're like, what do you want? And then they'll just get you that stuff.
I'd like 2 whole lobsters, please.
I don't know if they're gonna get 2. They might, depending on who you are, they might.
Make sure they're alive and give me a sword.
I would like them to fight each other, and I'll eat the winner.
I'd like them to fight each other, and then one eats the other, and then I eat that one. But
there it is.
Mayweather and Gannon eat each other. No, they have sex.
Oh, they eat each other.
And everybody else on the crew is doing their fucking job. Like, they're talking about the autopsy from the old lady that got shot.
Yeah,
in the
but
gut.
Mayweather doesn't have a lot to do. They're not flying anywhere.
It's true.
He's got, like, the day off, like the week off, pretty much.
But Phlox uses medical magic, the kind of which would make Bones proud, to figure out that the lady was from the Orpheus mining facility,
How does he figure that? I don't remember this at all. How does he figure it out?
She apparently had some sort of something in her body that was like mined at the mining facility,
and that's the only place they mine it, or something like that.
I guess. But
the comparisons to Trump with Paxton are ridiculous.
Yeah, except Paxton's not like a giant fucking bloated orange corpse.
Paxton's also not a fucking moron.
That's true.
So at least like it's good that Trump is a moron.
I don't know. He's surrounded by people that are using him that are just as evil and not as dumb.
Yeah, that's true. And Russia. Don't forget
That's
Russia.
true. This is a liberal podcast, everybody. Fucking turn it off if you don't like it.
Sorry if the truth hurts your ear holes.
I guess.
Maybe get the jizz out of them.
The jizz that we put in there.
Yeah.
So, on
That's
the
how you
moon.
make a baby.
Up on an ear baby. Up on the moon.
Luna.
Miners start taking rocks off of a pile in the most fucking unfuturistic way possible. By just picking them up with their hands and passing them along to each other.
Well, they are miners, Jeff.
They have lasers.
Yeah, but the laser can't pick up rocks.
It should be able to.
Well, they did this future mining shot earlier where people are like scanning walls and shit. They already did that shit.
Whatever. Fucking make your future stuff look like the future.
We went from panning gold like in Buster Scruggs to this.
I guess this is better than that. Although Tom Waits isn't in it, so I don't know.
Tom Waits is not in it.
But it turns out the bad actor doctor from earlier in the episode, his body's underneath it, although I didn't recognize him.
Well, he's pretty fucked up looking.
Yeah, he's got dirt all over his face, so I didn't recognize him.
And his eyes are like shut, like they bruised them real bad.
And it's in the corridor where Paxton said to meet him.
Junction
earlier.
3, yeah.
Yeah, Junction 3. And I didn't recognize the guy for a hot second, and then like it went to where it was supposed to go to commercial and came back, and my brain reset, and I was like, "Oh fuck, that was that guy."
Yeah,
I'm really dumb.
It's quick, and I see what you're saying about like the directing. I think it's more of an editing problem. It
is more of an editing problem.
They had to edit around commercials back in the day, right?
Look, in my heart and in my soul, LeVar Burton can do no wrong.
I don't think he did wrong. I think this is still good.
Yeah, this is a great episode, actually. I really like this episode.
Yeah.
But I think he might be a bit of an anti-vaxxer, which I'm not on board with. But
are you serious? No.
He's I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say he's not an anti-vaxxer.
LeVar Burton anti-vaxxer?
Question mark?
I don't get like any
good
results.
I feel like this was a Twitter thing, but
yeah, I don't think he is. I don't.
So Tucker and T'Pol go to the moon.
Luna.
And the moon tells them everything they need to know.
You know how many moons are in the solar system? There's like 300 moons in the solar
How many of them
system.
are called the moon?
I guess none.
There you go, motherfucker. Turns out Jeff's right again. But T'Pol's like, I know you think I'm lying about being pregnant. And Tucker's like, no, I believe you. And she's like, no, you don't. And he's like, yes, I do. And she's like, no, you fucking don't. And he's like, uh-huh.
Yeah. So are they at this point? They're on their way to the moon, right? Like
they're already on the moon.
They're on the moon to
searching through the
infiltrate,
mining tunnels.
So they're processed as moon workers. Which sending the Vulcan to do that is a little cavalier.
It's not smart. It's
not
really
very
not smart.
Yeah, I would probably have sent probably not Tucker either because he's like important to the ship.
I'd send Tucker and Reed, I guess, because they're both like bland white dudes. They totally fit in.
They're friends in the show too. Like they're like best buds.
Oh, well, there you go. Send best friends on missions together. That won't turn out badly.
Tucker can't talk about his baby with T'Pol if Reed is there, so they have to send T'Pol.
Yep.
That's
she volunteers because like she wants to go save her baby.
Yeah, and I guess the captain can't really say no to her because, like, they're BFFs.
Yep.
Like, he, like, loves her, like, not in, like, a sexual way.
Like a
but,
sisterly way.
Like, they're, like, very important to each other type of love.
Yeah, they love each other like Josh and I love each other.
Yeah. Jeff, I said not in a sexual way, and that does not apply. It's not entirely accurate for us.
No, they don't touch butts ever, so...
That's how you make a baby.
Gannon and Mayweather fuck in a bed this time.
They fuck again in a bed, yeah.
And then Mayweather's like, maybe I should settle down. And then Gannon's like, let's fuck a third time. And then it goes to the bridge. And it turns out there's a glitch in the universal translator system, and Sato can't figure it out.
That's what she does today.
She's in the show too.
Remember Sato? She's back.
She's a very pretty lady, so I'm always happy to see her.
Yeah, she's really her character is really annoying in the first couple of seasons because she's like the homesick character.
I want to go
right?
home.
And it's like, yeah, you're like on the wrong mission. For
this is the opposite of the one where you go home.
Yeah, this is like this. Let's see how far we can go.
In this next scene, Tucker gets dunked on so fucking unbelievably hard. Like, he falls hook, line, and sinker for this dude who's like, hey man, what's up? What's your name? And he's like, oh, I'm Turner.
Yeah, he calls himself Turner.
And he's like, oh, well, my name's Josiah, and I fucking hate aliens.
And he's like, I hear that.
He's like, yeah, me too, those fucking... Starmen, I hate them.
I hate when they come from other planets.
I don't like it when they come to my planet.
And they don't even, like, look like us.
Some of them have more eyes or less eyes. What's up with that?
What's up with not being from Earth, yo?
Yeah, and Josiah's like, yeah, brother, I believe everything you're saying.
Yeah, you want to come hang out at our cool club where we talk about hating aliens?
Yeah, come to our secret alien hating club. Don't forget your white cloak. I mean...
Your white skin? Wait.
But T'Pol shows up and she's like, hey, that scientist that we know of, for some reason, he's dead. He got rocked.
How do they...
I think she just knows he's a scientist.
Okay, and that's who would have done it, right, at the station.
Yeah,
right?
And, like, she obviously worked with the woman that got shot in the stomach because they wore the same outfit.
Right.
I guess it's a good detective work. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they know who's there, right? Like, there's records and stuff.
Sure. But, back on the ship, like, Mayweather and Gannon, I've not paid any attention to anything that's happened to them up until this point.
Yeah.
But characters I recognize come into the room, and they're like, come with us, Gannon. And Mayweather's like, what's happening?
Is this because we fucked 5 times? Is that against protocol, Captain?
How many times are you allowed to fuck, Captain? I don't know.
I don't know.
And he's like, no, it turns out she's a spy.
Bam, bam, bam.
He's like, oh no, I got spy on my penis.
Oh, now my penis is gonna fall right the hell off.
Now my penis is gonna turn traitor and spy for my butt.
Penis and butt.
That was one of the dumbest things I've ever said, I think. And they're like, oh, she's working for Terra Prime. And Mayweather's like, hurt. He's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I can't believe you used me.
He's violated.
But back on Damoon, the unkempt guy, Josiah, is like, hey, Turner, come to my assembly. And
my assembly.
come to my 4th grade recital.
Come to my fireside chat live and in person.
So, like, he's at this thing, and the guy's like, hey, do you guys hate aliens like I do? And they're all like, yeah!
I hate when they're, not from Earth.
Fuck those guys. They're gonna take over our planet, and there's not gonna be any more white baby. Human babies.
Human babies.
This isn't a metaphor.
No.
And
it's almost not a metaphor, because almost a one-to-one relationship. In that it exactly is a one-to-one relationship.
The fucking funniest thing happens where he's like, "It's somebody's here. Somebody here is gonna help us." Tucker from the fucking Enterprise, you idiot! Why did you come
Charles
here?
Tucker, yeah. And he goes,
I thought you were my best friend.
Josiah, we talked about how we hate aliens.
No, I'm not Tucker. I'm Turner. I'm Turner.
I'm his twin brother from a transporter accident, Turner.
That doesn't happen for several hundred more years.
Yeah, we got a couple more decades.
And then T'Pol is looking at rubble again, even though she knows the guy died there.
Sure.
And she gets shot in the shoulder twice.
Well, she's Vulcan and hard to take down with the stun.
Yeah, she gets shot in the shoulder twice, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Like, that's weird. Like, why the shoulder?
Maybe they're really good at shooting shoulders.
Maybe they train that way.
Hit the shoulder.
But they both, like, wake up and they're in Paxton's office.
His moon house.
And he's like, well, if it isn't Romeo and Juliet, like that play where they died at the end, are you guys gonna do that?
Also, their families are different and hate each other, which is the context that I'm going for Paxton right now.
Star-crossed lovers.
Literally.
Hopefully you guys don't commit suicide inside of a medieval tomb.
Hopefully one of you doesn't pretend to commit suicide and then the other one actually does.
I'm just saying, he gets really specific with this fucking Romeo and Juliet metaphor.
Like we don't know about Romeo. Like, we get it, Paxton. We got it.
I don't know. Maybe it was for T'Pol. Like, she's like, what?
I'm sure she knows about it.
Humio and what, Liet? But
that old ass dumb shit you make 9th grade kids read.
But Tucker's like, who are you, Paxton? Are you behind all this? And he's like, I'm not behind it. I'm in front of it. I'm the leader.
I'm in charge.
He's like, I'm the leader of the Terra Prime movement, and we're gonna kick all you dumb aliens out of our star system.
Get out of here. Yeah, he says, like, if they don't leave, we're gonna do some stuff.
He's like, it's my life's work, and no one will stop me. Not an alien or a human.
Yeah.
Which is what you two are.
Which is the good thing.
Good thing I said that. I covered all my bases.
Now they know I'm serious.
So Paxton's like, Daniel, my best friend.
Daniel, my brother. We went to assembly together.
He's like, hit that launch button. And Tucker's like, what? And he's like, yeah, this is actually a spaceship.
Yeah, and it like takes off from the moon.
And he's like, you're an engineer. You should enjoy this. And Tucker's like, I don't.
Yeah, this is terrifying.
I do not enjoy this.
I'm used to like a spaceship that's like very, very well put together and runs well. This is a moon base. I don't even know how this thing flies.
They fucking like go to warp, which is nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like what?
It's like a moon base. It's not supposed to be in space to begin with.
Probably only goes to like warp 1.
That's warp enough for me on a fucking moon base.
How long would it take to get to Mars at, like, just above the speed of light?
I don't know. They do it instantaneously in this.
It feels like it is. Maybe it's like warp 2 or something.
But we get the scene where Archer and Malcolm Reed are, like, interrogating Gannon.
Yeah.
And she lawyers up instantly.
Yep.
She's like, I want my lawyer. And they all do, like, the police procedural thing where they're all like, "Bleh."
They're all disgusted. They're like, lawyers.
How dare you get legal counsel when you're taken in by police?
The criminal justice system. Pain in my ass.
It works in the criminal's favor and not mine.
If only I could beat the living shit out of you.
If only I could just shoot her in the head. But they call for Archer, and it's not like Captain, like emergency alert. It's like Captain Archer. Message from the bridge for Captain Archer. He's like, what is it? And they're like, the mining facility on the moon turned into a spaceship, and now it's flying.
Yeah, it went to warp. It's a Death Star now.
They're like, what?
Yeah.
And they land on Mars, and they plug in. They take a
hook
big
up.
plug, and they plug into the Mars.
Pretty much.
And Archer goes to stop them, but when they land on Mars, they take control of an array, like a weapons array on the planet Mars. It's supposed to destroy comets.
It's supposed to push comets in certain directions toward Mars to terraform Mars. The Verteron array.
The Verteron array, which I think they mention in other Star Trek series as
do.
well.
Yes.
But he says straight up, if any non-humans refuse to leave our system, I'm going to fire the shit at whatever.
Yeah, he's like, they all have to leave. Every one of them has to leave Sol.
And he shoots the fucking moon.
He fucking ticks the moon, dude.
He shoots the moon.
He shoots the moon, which, like, good thing there's, like, nothing there, right?
Except the fucking rest of the mining facility that they left behind.
I would assume there's other mining facilities there, but I don't think he hits one, maybe? I don't know.
I don't think he would give a fuck, to be honest.
I don't either.
He's like, there's some aliens in there, it's fine.
Yeah, it probably is better for his character not to give a fuck, so.
Yeah, but he's like, I'm the leader, and I say no more aliens, and humans are in charge now, and if you don't like it, I'll shoot you with my Death Star.
Yeah, I got a Death Star now, so deal with it.
Paxton, out.
He drops the mic, which is just the little communicator, so it's, like, less dramatic.
It just clicks on the ground a little bit.
And it doesn't turn off, because why would it? And he's like, is it off? And Daniel's like, no, you gotta pick it up and hit the button.
I have to turn it off myself?
You can't just drop it. It doesn't work that way.
Is it off now?
No, it's still on. I'm watching it. We're still live.
Then turn it off.
You gotta. It's near your foot. You do it.
How do I gotta do everything around here? And then it goes off, and everybody's just kind of like,
And that's the end of the episode.
This is the final episode of Star Trek to be directed by LeVar Burton. That's a fun fact.
That is a fun fact. How interesting.
How interesting.
I would do a shot for LeVar Burton, but I don't have any alcohol.
Oh.
And also, I'm high on cold medicine.
Yeah, you're not supposed to mix alcohol and cold medicine. I'm pretty sure.
Are you not supposed to, or are you really supposed to, but they don't want you to have fun, Jeff? Because I got issues.
They don't want you to have fun. These fucking drug companies out here trying to stop us from having fun.
I mean, if I want to drink like half a bottle of NyQuil and then drink a bottle of gin, I'm going to do it.
I mean, you can if you want to die.
And my liver will be like, stop it.
I had a life once.
Stop it.
I tasted of sweet, clear water once.
This episode's good.
It is a really good episode. It's like, it's one of those episodes that it's absolutely impossible not to compare it to modern day and like the political problems that are racking our country.
Like I said earlier, like this episode was poignant and valid in 2005, but now it's unbelievably, uncannily, like prophetic.
Yeah, it's a very prescient episode. Like,
it's prophetic because like these fucking people, these fucking racist assholes, are all the same all the time. Like,
yeah,
they're all the same through any century. They're the same. They're the same.
At the time, I wonder if it was like, this is like the extreme version of what's happening now, but now it's just the actual version of what's happening now. They didn't have to enhance it whatsoever.
Well, in a sense, like, I mean, we could do a whole nother episode about how Star Trek gets a lot of things right.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it's very prophetic, isn't it?
Yeah, especially within, like, the time we're living in now. Like, I mean, like, the Bell riots and shit. Like, obviously, like, things are not, like, quite like that. But I would argue that they are more similar to that than they're not in lots of areas, especially in cities, you know.
So Flint, Michigan.
The Flint, Michigan. I mean, just inner cities, like northern Philly, stuff like that. Like, there's just, like, ghettos, like, you know, it's just the way that those people are forced to like live there because they can't better their situation, right?
It's like the only thing that's stopping the Bell riots themselves from happening is that nobody has rallied those disenfranchised people yet.
Right, and there's not been some, like, watershed, like, almost like revolution type of moment, right, where people are, like, not going to take it anymore.
You wonder where that point is with everything some peoples have been through. You know?
I would argue that, I mean, we have seen that with, like, Ferguson, too, where, like, people are like, we're done with this.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, we're not getting shot like this anymore. You know,
you just
like
don't see it on such a, like, widespread platform.
Right.
It's all, like, very specific city to city type stuff.
I mean, they'll be talking about, like, Ferguson for, like, 100 years and, like, how that happened, and now look where we're at. Like, it'll all tie together from a farther point of view when we're farther away from it. You know what I mean?
It's wild how prophetic Star Trek can be. Like, you watch it and you think, oh, that's some crazy sci-fi, and then, like, 10, 15 years later, you're like, maybe it wasn't so crazy after all.
I mean, like, look at the fucking phones we use. They're fucking Star Trek phones, dude.
Oh, yeah, they were specifically made to be Star Trek phones, though. They were invented to be Star Trek phones.
But, like, how did they know that they were going to... Like, how did they know it was possible? How did Gene Roddenberry... Like, he didn't know it was possible, but, like, didn't he? Who knows? Maybe he did.
It's like a Nostradamus type thing, right? Where, like, everybody thought Nostradamus had magical powers, but he was just really good at, like, following the breadcrumb trail forwards.
Right, like, he like, could think
like,
ahead
this happened
logically.
today, so this will probably happen tomorrow.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of Star Trek is that. Like,
yeah,
we had telephones on our walls back in the day, and what's the next evolution for telephones? Oh, you don't have to have it on the wall.
Right, it can just be with you.
Or, like, the next revolution for telephones is, like, you can see the person on the other side.
I think the next one is it's inside your ear.
Probably. I don't know if I want that. But...
Or if it's like glasses, and you put a pair of glasses on. Or a lens in your eye.
It'll probably be like they'll have a glasses variant and also like contact lens variant.
Yeah, I was thinking contact lens. Yeah.
And it's all controlled by like the movement of your eyes.
Yeah, you can like interface like inside your eye, and that's how I imagine like the universal translators are. Like, I imagine like you could probably bring up some kind of like interface that like you can change like how you either visualize or hear the language. Right?
Yeah, I imagine it's like probably controlled by like pad. Like you have a pad that's like connected to the device that's inside your skull.
Right.
And you can remotely change the settings as you need them.
Yeah, like what if you wanted to hear the native language to learn it, but see what they're saying, right?
Yeah.
Like you could probably do that. Why wouldn't you be able to?
You could probably be able to give yourself like subtitles. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you get like in-brain subtitles, which would be really funny.
It would be. Man, I hope that scientists continue to be inspired by Star Trek.
Yeah.
Star Trek has given us so much of the technology we have today.
So I was at an award show for like this Philadelphia like up and coming Philly entrepreneurs and stuff like that, and I don't remember the
fuck
kids.
Were you doing there?
Well, we were gonna win an award for Continue, and then we went to the show, and we were blown away by like the actual good people who were winning stuff. Like, there's this kid, and I think I really wish I remember his name. This really young African-American kid, probably like 20, 21 years old. And he was doing a bunch of stuff medically, and he like helped make like a medical tricorder. Like,
really?
And it like is like super accurate in diagnosing things. Like it's like 97% accurate.
That's fucking wild.
And like the kid like liked it because he was like, why don't we have that?
Like, Star Trek is like the little seed. You plant it into someone's mind, and eventually they're like, exactly like that. Why don't we have that? We should have that. I'm going to make that.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And it's
love
weird
it.
to think that we've moved beyond Star Trek communicators now. Like, we had Star Trek communicators, and now we've moved beyond them.
Yeah, now they're, like, boring. Now we're like, well, it's a phone.
Yeah.
But, like, can you imagine telling yourself, and I think this a lot, because, like, you know, you and I are a little older, and we didn't always have this stuff.
No.
And, like, can you imagine being, like, go back to, like, me, like, in 1995, when I was, like, in, like, 6th grade or whatever, and being like, hey, in, like, 10 years, like, 20 years, 10, 15 years, we're gonna have fucking Star Trek communicators. And not only that, but it's gonna be connected to what we call the internet, which you kind of have now, but, like, you'll be able to find out whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, that's the thing that if I was, like, as a little kid, I wanted a full, not the dictionary. Encyclopedia. I wanted an entire encyclopedia set because I fucking loved reading them. I thought, like, the wealth of all human knowledge was contained in these books.
Well, that's like what people thought, and that's what my grandmother, like, still thinks. Like, my grandmother still functions on the notion of, like, well, the encyclopedia taught me things, and that's all I need to know. And it's like,
the encyclopedia is like 10 sentences about each thing that's in it.
Yeah,
it only
like,
covers 1% of
like,
information.
you don't understand how much is happening right now.
But it's like in your palm of your hand, you could slip in your pocket and take with you anywhere, is the wealth of human knowledge.
Yes. You're a god. We are gods now.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, if you went back in time and still had a connection to the modern day, then you would be God.
You would be unstoppable. No, people, I mean, you would have a leg up anyway, like, maybe not socially, and that's maybe would be the determining factor in how successful you could be at, like, surviving back in time. But, like, if you could, you know, manage to keep the internet with you somehow, you would know everything. You'd be like, who's this guy? And you could, like, look him up. And if he was, like, big enough historically, like, you would know who he was and what he did, and you could anticipate what he's gonna do, right?
You fucking stand up some, like, I don't even know, like, Martin Luther, the reformer, is, like, standing on the church steps. You could stand up and be like, Martin Luther, you will die on Monday the 16th. And the year and everything, and everybody would be like, oh.
They would probably kill you because they think you're a witch.
Yeah, probably.
They would probably burn you at the stake because they're like, he's a witch! And Martin Luther's like, chill out, bro. I got these 95 sentences I gotta staple to this wall.
It's gonna change the world.
Get ready, Catholics. I'm coming for you.
Get ready, Catholics. It's called Protestantism, and you're gonna hate it.
It'll probably fuck a lot of things up for a long time.
I guess it depends on which side of that argument you're on, I guess. The Catholic Church didn't do too much either.
No. I'm not saying that it was fine before that. I'm not saying that.
No. Had a little thing called the Dark Ages, but whatever.
You know, the systematic exterminating of different peoples. That was going on. They did that.
We're still trying to do that.
Yeah.
Still into it.
Religion might still have something to do with that.
We have some
Anyway.
We have some kinks to work out as human beings still.
Yeah.
Almost the same ones we've always had, strangely enough.
But I think we're getting there. And I do believe, like, we're seeing, like in reference to the technology discussion, like, I think we're seeing the growing pains and the death throes of the old generation. It's like they're fading out, and they can adapt. Like, my grandparents cannot fathom the things that I do on a daily basis. On a daily basis, the things I do, they do not understand.
And that's the difference between previous generations and now, is that, like, what technology exists that, like, you and I as old fucking fossils can't use now? Like, I could use Google Glass just fine.
Yeah, no, nothing. Like, we're fine. Like, right? Like,
yeah, like, fuck, if a new program comes out and it works better than the one I'm using, I'm switching to the new fucking program.
Yeah, then that's the one you use then.
It's like the only new thing that came out that I didn't do was Snapchat because I thought my life was too boring for it, not because I didn't understand it.
Instagram. It's like Instagram. It's the same fucking shit, right? Like, yeah.
I feel like my life is too boring for any of my social medias, so I didn't feel like adding another one.
Yeah. Mine is too.
It's that's like a fundamental difference because we like were introduced to this new technology when we were young.
Right.
And we've adapted to it as we got along. I mean, you still don't know how to use Discord, but for the most part...
It's not that I don't know how to use Discord, I just don't go on it.
I use that as an excuse all the time. Every time somebody's like, why doesn't Josh ever hang out with us?
Use it.
I'm like, he doesn't know how to use it.
I like to go on, and when I do go on, I have a purpose. That's why I like... When I do go on, it's for a reason, right? If I have it up all the time, like, people will just think I'm there all the time, and then it'll be less meaningful.
Yeah, that's the thing I say all the time is, like, whoever goes to the Discord, whoever interacts least with fans is almost always the favorite.
They always want more. It's like this most human-ass shit.
Like, if you interact with fans a lot, they don't think you're special at all.
No.
And it's
I know.
I feel like that bothered me a little bit, but now I don't really care because I interact with the M-Class Discord like all the time. Like they don't think I'm special at all, but I don't care.
Yeah, I don't think about it, to be honest with you. Like even on Twitter, like I talk to people on Twitter like through tweets and stuff, and I don't know. I just do it when I want to, and I find that that's just the best policy to have because
it's true. I mean, that's the good thing about Discord is like I don't get notifications from Discord unless I'm in it.
Yeah. No, I don't either. I'd drive myself crazy, man.
Like, Twitter sends notifications to my phone, and I'm not popular enough for that to be annoying yet.
Oh, I that's off for me. I can't.
Yeah, well, you've got like 20,000 followers or whatever.
Yeah, I keep losing them, though, when I talk about how horrible the president is, so...
Yeah, it's weird how people who, like... watch your show ostensibly can't tell that you don't like him on the show where you make fun of him every episode.
I don't know what the difference is. That's a great question. Like, why is that different? I don't know.
It makes no fucking sense to me.
I don't get it.
Anyway, this episode of Enterprise was good, don't you think?
No, dude, you should watch the rest of the show. This episode's great. This season is particularly interesting because they're really ramping up the whole, like, Romulan shit in this season.
Yeah, they don't do it, is the suckiest thing.
It's a fucking blue balls, dude. It's Star Trek blue balls. It sucks.
I'm planning on watching all of Enterprise. This is not a Babylon 5 or Battlestar Galactica situation.
Babylon 5.
This is not a Battlestar Galactica type situation where I'm not watching it because I think it's funny.
I think you'll really enjoy the first couple seasons, and lots of people really don't like the first couple seasons. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Of Enterprise?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I've watched almost all I think I've watched up until the second season, like part of the second season, and I like it fine. I don't know, I keep falling off.
We have to watch Carbon Creek. It's one of my favorite episodes. That could be like a did we do a First Contact?
We have not done a First Contact.
That could be a First Contact collection.
We need to, if I remember, I need to like open up for suggestions and have people vote on what we're going to do next.
Yeah, that reminds me. Go to patreon.com/mclasspodcast and be a patron, and you can do that.
If for as low as $1 a month, you can suggest us ideas for collections and vote on them. And if your collection's chosen, we might name it after you.
Yeah.
This like was the Ben Beuhler Defection collection.
Yeah, for example, you could have the Josh Henderson Sex Lection. Where
it was the Josh Henderson Satan's collection. And all the rest of them are the Jeff Pennington's whatever collection.
Hail Satan!
This dude loves Satan.
Satan, I love you. You're from, what is it called? What was it?
Hell?
Megas 2. You're from Megas 2. Got it.
Satan,
I got there.
I love you. You're from Megas 2.
Your arms are really small.
Wanna kiss your big abs. You've got 32. Bum. You can get that on Sony Records.
Coming out in the summertime.
No, but seriously, head over to MClass, patreon.com/MClass podcast. There are, I think, 3 separate other podcasts you could be listening to.
Yeah, you can get more of us.
Which is great. And also we do audio logs from the fictional world of Star Trek that we've created or had a hand in co-creating on our emails podcast.
Yeah, everybody involved, all the people who write into the emails podcast really gets into it.
I love it.
It's great.
If you would like your email in all that mess, you can send it to mclassemail@gmail.com. All singular. We only do one email at a time.
It can be a normal email, too. It doesn't have to be like a made-up character email.
It can literally be anything. It doesn't even have to be about Star Trek.
Yeah, it can be about, like, whatever.
It could
even
be like
Babylon 5, like Jeff likes to watch.
Yeah, I've seen 2 episodes of that. Fucking masterpiece. Just sit and be like, hey, Trek boys, what's your favorite sandwich? Like, it doesn't matter. Ask us whatever.
That's a tough one.
That is a really tough one.
There's so many good sandwiches.
I think an Italian sub is probably my favorite.
Really?
Like, with all kinds of fucking meats on it.
I'm thinking like a club sandwich with like the perfect amount of mayonnaise and bacon. Oh,
Club
God.
sandwich is alright. I ain't trying to... I like a sandwich with a lot of meats. I like to eat at least 4 different animals at a time.
Being from Philadelphia, I've had about 20 bajillion Italian hoagies in my life. So
oh, well, that's true.
It's like the pizza of hoagies.
I love an Italian sub. I like...
Do you like oil on it?
A little bit. I get a little bit of oil on it.
I go dry. I go in dry.
Ugh. I don't know. There's so many fucking good sandwiches out there, man.
I like how we ask ourselves this question. Now we're talking about a sandwich.
You ever go to Panera? You ever go to Panera Bread?
We got Panera.
I love the fucking bacon turkey Bravo.
Bacon turkey Bravo rules.
That's
a
dope
club
fucking
sandwich.
sandwich.
That's like a club sandwich. Yeah,
sure.
That's what I'm talking about.
Sure, I'll go for that.
Zane and I, when we worked in Dawson, used to go to Panera like every day, and we had to like stop because it was like, first of all, it's like
becoming
expensive.
a problem.
Yeah. Also, I would get like 6 cookies a week, which is like super bad.
Like, my wife loves Panera. Like, it's her favorite fucking place. And my problem is I'm a big fat slob, so like the half a sandwich and a little bowl of soup doesn't do it for me.
Not enough. Yeah, I agree with that.
I gotta get like a full sandwich, which is way more expensive.
Yeah, I need like 2 sandwiches.
What type of soup you get usually?
I love broccoli cheese. It's fucking great.
Broccoli cheese is fucking dope. It's either broccoli cheese for me or I get the French onion.
I don't like French onion, but my mom really loves French onion. I don't like it that much.
That's a shame. Well,
but
more French onion for me.
Yeah, you can have my French onion, and then we can French each other's onions. Onions means butthole.
I knew.
I know you did. But they might not have.
We call it that all the time. If you go back through the podcast and hear us talking about any type of eating an onion, you know what we're talking about now.
That's it. Analingus.
Thanks for tuning in to M-Class Podcast and learning with us today. We will be back in 1 week with more M-Class... Well, actually, before we leave, I want to tell everybody out there to fucking follow us on Twitter.
Yes, thank you. God, yes, please.
At M-Class Podcast. Our Twitter numbers are like half of our listenership for some reason.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't like Twitter.
I guess there are a lot of people that don't have Twitter. Like, we're averaging, like, in our iTunes and SoundCloud and, like, I don't count YouTube since it's probably a lot of the same people.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
But in our iTunes and SoundCloud, which is linked, we usually have around, like, 1,200 to 1,500 people.
Yeah, I saw that. It's getting up there pretty good.
And our Twitter has, like, 550 people on it or something. That's like a third, actually.
And also, you could go to Instagram. We have an Instagram now.
Yeah, we do have an Instagram. I posted twice on it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I haven't posted at all yet.
It's just M-Class Podcast.
There you go.
I don't know how you interact with people on Instagram, but follow us. Tell us you love us.
I'm sneezing.
Actually, if you tag us like in your posts, it'll show it to us.
Yeah,
Tag
do
us
that.
at M Class Podcast.
Show us what Star Treks you're watching.
Yeah, show us your Trek merchandise and your Trek shows.
Yeah, what's your favorite like Trek thing that you own? Do that.
Yeah, that would be fucking dope. Like, because actually, let's do that across all social media.
Yeah,
we'll do that
yeah.
on Twitter and Instagram at M Class Podcast on either of them, and tell us what is your favorite piece of Trek merchandise you own. This is a fucking call to action.
Or show us.
We're gonna get so much return on investment on this baby.
ROI. What is the word I'm looking for?
ROI. Roy.
Yeah, Roy.
Yeah, show us what your favorite piece of Trek merchandise is. As soon as you hear this, go to your Twitter or your Instagram and show us.
Do it.
And now I will say, see us in 1 month for more Trek. 1 week. See us in 1 week. You almost got me, Alzheimer's, but I said week. See us in 1 week for more Star Trek M-Class goodness.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm mentally ill.